In a world painted with the softest of colors, where the hills rolled like gentle green waves and the sky was a permanent shade of pale lavender, lived a small, weak rabbit named Yucky. His fur, once a brilliant snowy white, was now dull and patchy, and his long ears drooped with a constant weariness. Yucky lived in a cozy burrow at the base of a great oak tree, but he was often too poorly to hop outside and enjoy the sunshine. He shivered even on the warmest of days, dreaming of the days he could once again munch on sweet clover and feel the soft grass beneath his paws. His little nose would twitch with sadness as he watched the other woodland creatures play from the safety of his doorway, a lonely figure in a vibrant living world. One bright morning, as the dew still clung to the buttercups, a visitor appeared. It was a cat, sleek and ginger, with eyes the color of bright emeralds. He moved with a quiet, deliberate grace that seemed almost too clever for such a simple, peaceful land. The cat introduced himself as Jasper, and his voice was as smooth and comforting as warm milk. He saw a poor Yucky trembling by his burrow and approached not with a pounce but with a slow, gentle stride that spoke of kindness. Jasper explained that he was a traveler, an expert in herbs and remedies, and he simply could not bear to see any creature in such a sad and sorry state. He promised Yucky he would help him get well. Yucky, who had always been taught to be wary of cats, felt a flicker of suspicion. Cats were known for their tricks, for their sharp claws and even sharper wits. Yet Jasper's eyes held no malice, only a soft, concerned glow. The cat seemed to understand Yucky's hesitation and didn't press him. Instead, he simply sat a polite distance away, grooming his pristine fur and humming a cheerful little tune. He spoke of the world beyond the rolling hills, of adventures and grand sights, but always brought the conversation back to how much better it would all be with a friend by one's side. His gentle manner was disarming, a soft melody that began to soothe Yucky's frightened heart. So, Yucky made a decision. He was tired of being lonely and sick, and perhaps, just perhaps, this cat was different from all the others. He decided to give Jasper a chance. The cat's first act of kindness was to brew a special broth made from rare forest herbs. It smelled wonderfully fragrant, and Jasper assured him it would bring the strength back to his bones. Hesitantly, Yucky took a sip. It was warm and delicious, and for the first time in a long time, a feeling of comfort spread through his tiny body. That small act of care was the first thread in a web of trust that Jasper was carefully and cunningly beginning to weave. Day after day, Jasper proved to be a most devoted companion. He would arrive at Yucky's burrow each morning, always with a new remedy or a tasty treat. He brought Yucky bundles of the sweetest, most tender clover, which he claimed grew in a secret meadow only he knew how to find. He would mash up juicy berries into a pulp that was easy for the weak rabbit to eat, ensuring Yucky never went hungry. Jasper would sit with him for hours, telling him funny stories that made Yucky's whiskers twitch with laughter. He even helped to tidy the burrow, sweeping the floor with a leafy branch and fluffing up Yucky's mossy bed until it was soft and inviting. Yucky began to change. With every bowl of warm soup and every sweet berry, a little more strength returned to his frail body. His fur started to regain its snowy luster, and his ears, which had drooped for so long, began to stand up a little straighter, twitching with curiosity at the sounds of the forest. He started to take small, wobbly hops around the entrance to his burrow, with Jasper walking patiently beside him, offering a steadying presence. The rabbit felt a warmth growing inside him that had nothing to do with the sunshine or the herbal broth. It was the warmth of friendship, a feeling he had longed for. The other woodland animals watched this unusual friendship with wide-eyed wonder. A squirrel chattered from a high branch, and a family of field mice whispered amongst themselves. They had never seen a cat and a rabbit be such good friends. Some were suspicious, warning Yucky to be careful. "A cat is a cat," chirped an old robin. "His nature won't change." But Yucky would simply smile and shake his head. He would tell them that Jasper was different. Jasper was his friend, the one who had saved him when no one else had even noticed his plight. He truly believed that he had found a loyal and true companion in the clever ginger cat. Jasper, for his part, seemed to revel in the role of the caring friend. He would deflect any praise with a humble wave of his paw, saying that helping Yucky was its own reward. But sometimes, when the rabbit wasn't looking, a strange, calculating glint would appear in Jasper's emerald eyes. It was a fleeting look, gone as quickly as it came, replaced once more by his warm, friendly gaze. He was watching Yucky grow stronger, not just with happiness but with a quiet, secret patience. He was like a gardener tending to a prize vegetable, waiting for it to be perfectly ripe for the harvest. His kindness was a tool, and he was using it with masterful precision. Weeks turned into a month, and Yucky was completely transformed. He was no longer the sickly, shivering rabbit hiding in his burrow. He was plump, healthy, and full of energy. His coat was as white and brilliant as a fresh snowfall, and his hops were high and joyful. He and Jasper were now inseparable. They would spend their days exploring the gentle, rolling hills together. Jasper would point out interesting sights, and Yucky would share his knowledge of the best places to find dandelions. Their laughter could often be heard echoing through the buttercup meadows, a testament to their seemingly perfect friendship. Yucky felt happier and safer than he had ever felt in his entire life. To celebrate Yucky's full recovery, Jasper proposed a special adventure. He spoke of a legendary place called the Moonpetal Meadow, a hidden clearing deep in the woods where the most delicious, sweetest clover in the world grew. He described it in vivid detail, saying the clover there was so magical it tasted like honey and sunshine combined. He told Yucky that this final treat would ensure his strength would never fade again. The journey would be a little long, he admitted, but he promised to be by Yucky's side every step of the way. To Yucky, this sounded like the most wonderful idea he had ever heard. Yucky's heart swelled with gratitude. He looked at Jasper, his clever, kind friend, and felt an overwhelming sense of love and trust. This cat had nursed him back from the brink of despair. He had shared his food, his time, and his stories. How could Yucky ever repay such kindness? The trip to the Moonpetal Meadow felt like the perfect celebration of their bond. He told Jasper that he would follow him anywhere, that he trusted him completely. He had forgotten all the old warnings, all the whispers from the other animals. In his eyes, Jasper was not just a cat. He was a guardian, a savior, a true brother. As they prepared for their journey the next day, Jasper's friendly demeanor remained flawless. He helped Yucky pack a small bundle of berries for the walk and hummed a cheerful tune, but beneath the surface his plan was finally reaching its conclusion. Every act of kindness, every shared laugh, had been a careful step towards this single moment. He had fattened Yucky up not out of compassion, but for a much darker purpose. The Moonpetal Meadow was not a place of magical clover. It was a secluded spot, far from any prying eyes, where a cat could enjoy a fine meal without any interruptions. They set off at dawn, venturing further into the woods than Yucky had ever gone before. The trees grew taller and closer together, and the familiar, gentle landscape gave way to a wilder, more mysterious terrain. Yucky felt a small flutter of nervousness, but one look at Jasper's confident, smiling face was enough to reassure him. Jasper was his friend. He would keep him safe. They walked for a long time, their journey filled with the same easy chatter they had always shared. Jasper pointed to a hollow log, remarking how cozy it looked, and Yucky giggled, completely at ease and blissfully unaware of the trap that was closing around him. Finally, they arrived at a small, isolated clearing. It was quiet, eerily so. There was no magical glowing clover, only ordinary grass and a few sparse flowers. Yucky looked around, confused. "Jasper, is this it?" he asked, his voice small. "It doesn't look like you described." Jasper stopped and turned to face him. The warm, friendly smile was gone. In its place was a chilling, hungry grin. His emerald eyes, once so kind, now glinted with a cold, predatory light. "It is perfect," Jasper hissed, his voice no longer smooth and comforting, but sharp and cruel. "Perfect for a feast. And you, my dear Yucky, are the main course." Yucky froze, his heart pounding with terror and disbelief. This couldn't be happening. This was Jasper, his friend, his savior. But the cat who stood before him was a stranger, a monster wearing a familiar face. Jasper slowly advanced, his claws sliding out with a soft, menacing snick. "All that care, all that feeding," the cat sneered, "was simply to make you a plump and tasty meal. It was so easy." Weak, trusting little rabbit. In that horrifying moment, Yucky understood everything. The kindness had been a lie. The friendship had been a trap. He had been so blind, so eager to believe in a friend, that he had ignored all the signs. The rabbit, filled with a desperate surge of adrenaline, did the only thing he could. He turned and fled. He ran faster than he had ever run in his life, his strong new legs carrying him away from the betrayal. Jasper, surprised by the rabbit's sudden speed, gave chase, but Yucky, powered by pure fear, managed to scramble into a thorny thicket where the cat could not follow. Hiding deep within the brambles, Yucky wept not just from fear, but from the pain of a broken heart. He had learned a hard and bitter lesson that day, that a kind face can hide a cruel heart, and that trust is a precious gift that should never ever be given blindly.